Book review. Story of My Life by Lucy Score. Story Lake Book 1. Lucy Score has long been known for her signature blend of heart, humor, and heat, and Story of My Life, the first in her Story Lake series, marks yet another powerful entry into her catalog of contemporary romance. Set against the cozy, small-town backdrop of Story Lake, the novel captures the quintessential charm of the genre while delving into deeper emotional terrains, balances levity and heartbreak, sass and sincerity with the skill of a seasoned storyteller. This review explores the specific strengths and nuances that make Story of My Life a standout read in the small-town romance category. Plot summary and Story of My Life. Lucy Score launches a warm, witty, and emotionally layered contemporary romance set in the small, picturesque town of Story Lake. The story centers on Callie Sutherland's fiercely independent, whip-smart ghostwriter with complicated family legacy, and the rugged, quietly brooding single dad, Tanner Dempsey. Both are scarred by past losses and guarded hearts, and their slow-burn romance blossoms amid family secrets, community drama, and second chances. Callie Sutherland has returned to Story Lake for what she believes will be brief and necessary pause. Her once thriving career as celebrity ghostwriter has hit snag after scandal derails her latest project. Needing to regroup, she seeks refuge in her childhood hometown, the place she once escaped and never planned to return to. Her family's reputation still casts long shadow. Her mother is an author known more for drama than truth, and her deceased father left behind emotional wreckage that Callie is still unpacking. She moves into the crumbling family lake house filled with memories, dusty manuscripts, and unfinished stories. Both literal and emotional, there she unexpectedly reconnects with Tanner Dempsey, childhood friend turned emotionally shut down handyman. Tanner is doing his best to raise his teenage daughter Lexi while staying under the radar. His life has been shaped by tragedy. The death of his wife and the demands of single parenthood have made him cautious when it comes to his heart. The sparks between Callie and Tanner are immediate but complicated. Callie's wit and defiance challenge Tanner's quiet stability, while Tanner's loyalty and protectiveness begin to melt Callie's emotional armor. Score crafts their dynamic with nuance and tension, using small, tender moments, shared meal, late-night conversation, core-innovation project at the lake house, to build intimacy and mutual respect. As Callie settles back into Story Lake, she begins to uncover more about her father's past, including cache of letters and notes that suggest he was more than the failure she believed him to be. The lake house itself becomes character, its creaking floorboards and weathered walls mirroring the unresolved grief and tangled truths both Callie and Tanner carry with every renovation. Callie not only rebuilds the house, but also begins to piece together a fractured understanding of herself, her father, and what she truly wants from life. Tanner's daughter, Lexi, is standout secondary character, sharp, emotionally insightful, and struggling with her own version of loss. She forms surprisingly heartfelt bond with Callie. Their evolving relationship allows Callie to confront her fear of emotional entanglement, especially when Lexi's vulnerability mirrors Callie's own teenage wounds. The emotional stakes escalate when Callie is offered the chance to ghostwrite a tell-all memoir about her mother, an offer that could revive her career but destroy any fragile bridges she's begun building with her family. Faced with this dilemma, Callie must choose between her professional ambitions and her growing attachment to Story Lake, Tanner, and Lexi. Her decision becomes turning point, affirming her evolution from woman running from her past to one embracing connection, community, and courage. Lucy Score's signature blend of snappy dialogue, heartfelt vulnerability, and laugh-out-loud moments shines throughout the novel. The tone strikes satisfying balance between light and serious, never shying away from grief, guilt, and anger, but always circling back to hope, healing, and love. The romance unfolds slowly, grounded in mutual respect and trust, making the eventual payoff deeply satisfying. Themes of redemption, family legacy, love after loss, and the power of rewriting your own narrative are woven throughout. Story of My Life is not just a romance. It's a story about the stories we inherit, the ones we tell ourselves, and the ones we choose to write going forward. By the end of the novel, Callie and Tanner have found not just each other, but a version of themselves that feels braver and more whole. Story Lake, once place of pain and memory, place of new beginnings. 1. Character development. Heroine with layers. At the heart of the novel is Jasper Huxley, reclusive and emotionally complex author and Story, the book's heroine, whose name doubles a symbolic nod to the novel's themes. Story is not just charming meet-cute setup. She is fully realized woman navigating pain, loss, and the messy process of reinvention. She's recently come home to Story Lake after personal upheaval and disappointment. She's not entirely sure what her next chapter should look like. This uncertainty makes her both relatable and refreshingly vulnerable. Story is witty, loyal, and emotionally astute, but it's her willingness to confront her fears and start over that makes her journey truly compelling. Score crafts her with a mixture of strength and softness, never veering into the too perfect territory that can plague romance heroines. She has baggage, yes, but she doesn't wallow or arc, particularly how she learns to believe in herself again is the emotional backbone of the novel. Meanwhile, Jasper is fascinating and layered hero. Literary recluse with tragic past, he initially comes across as classic grump of sunshine foiled to story's warmth. But Score wisely avoids cliché by giving Jasper real depth. His emotional wounds are legitimate, and his hesitancy to engage with story isn't rooted in toxic brooding, but rather fear and lifetime of self-protection. Watching him thaw and evolve is immensely satisfying. Their character arcs are not merely romantic, they're deeply personal. Both leads are on journey of self-repair, and Score ensures that their relationship becomes a vehicle for mutual healing, not salvation. 2. Setting, small town charm with real stakes. Story Lake is more than a backdrop. It's practically character in itself. Score excels at creating small towns that feel lived in and distinct without lapsing into caricature. Story Lake is cozy but saccharine, quirky without being absurd. The local businesses, gossiping neighbors, and town events add texture to the narrative and anchor the romance in believable world. The town functions as crucible where characters are forced to confront their past, their secrets, and their community ties. Story's return home brings her face to face with family tensions and long-standing wounds, and the town becomes a place of reckoning as much as comfort. The emotional authenticity of setting, how it both nurtures and challenges, elevates the story beyond mere small town escapism. Thor's attention to sensory detail in the setting. Crisp lake mornings, the smell of local diner pancakes, the whisper of old trees. Grounds the emotional stakes and adds an immersive quality to the reading experience. 3. Thematic depth. Loss, redemption, and reconnection. One of the novel's greatest strengths is its thematic richness. While the surface promises romance and banter, both delivered in abundance, the emotional undercurrent is where the story truly shines. Grief and resilience are central themes. Both Story and Jasper are coping with loss, or the loss of direction and faith in herself, the devastating aftermath of personal tragedy. Rather than skimming the surface, Score delves into how people carry their pain and the different ways they choose to either numb or confront it. There's also a poignant thread about identity and reinvention. Story's journey back to herself through writing, community, and love is empowering. Jasper's reluctant return to the world after emotional isolation parallels this, making their eventual partnership feel like a natural and necessary evolution for them both. The novel also touches on forgiveness and second chances, not just in love, but in family dynamics, self-perception, and the willingness to believe in joy again. These thematic explorations add emotional weight and maturity to the romance, enhancing its impact. 4. Emotional tone. From laughs to moments, Lucy Score is masterful when it comes to emotional modulation. Story of My Life flows seamlessly from moments of genuine hilarity to scenes of gut-wrenching vulnerability. The dialogue is often laugh-out-loud funny, especially when Story is in banter mode or interacting with secondary characters. Score's sense of comedic timing is sharp, and she leans into her heroine's snark with relish. But just when the reader gets comfortable, Score slips in line or scene that stings. Raw, honest, and quietly devastating. And Jasper's moments of openness, especially as he begins to trust Story, are tender and powerful. These tonal shifts never jarring, rather they create narrative rhythm that keeps the reader emotionally invested. 5. Romance arc, slow burn with high reward. Score signature slow burn is alive and well in Story of My Life. The romantic pacing is deliberate and organic. There are sparks from the beginning, yes, but the emotional intimacy unfolds gradually. And that's the point. These are two people who have been wounded deeply, watching them learn each other's rhythms, step over their fears, and eventually fall not just in love, but in trust is deeply rewarding. Their chemistry is electric. There's plenty of heat, but it's underpinned by emotional connection. Each romantic milestone, kiss, night spent together, whispered confession, feels earned. There's particularly affecting scene where Jasper allows Story to read his long-guarded manuscript. It's not only sign of trust, but metaphorical undressing. More intimate than any sex scene, Score understands that vulnerability is the true climax of any love story. 6. Pacing and structure. A slow simmer that never sags despite the slow burn nature of the romance. The novel's pacing never drags. Score knows how to structure narrative arc, balancing romance with character growth, subplots with emotional beats. The early chapters establish mood and stakes, while the middle section deepens the emotional stakes and broadens the world's subplots, particularly involving Story's family and her attempt to relaunch her career. Add complexity and ensure that the story isn't solely romance dependent. By the final third, the story hits powerful emotional crescendo that feels both inevitable and surprising. 7. Supporting cast. No flat characters. Here, one of Lucy Score's hallmarks is her ability to write compelling side characters who could easily headline their own novels. And Story of My Life continues this tradition. From Story's sarcastic and loving sister to the nosy but well-meaning neighbors, every character has purpose, voice, and personality. Even characters who appear for only few scenes feel distinct. These secondary characters don't just provide comic relief or exposition, they enrich the emotional landscape. They reflect the aspects of the protagonist, challenge their assumptions, or offer them mirrors of what's possible. Given that this is the first book in series, readers can rest assured that some of these supporting players will return in starring roles of their own. Score lays the groundwork skillfully built anticipation without stealing focus from the main couple. 8. Authorial voice. The signature Lucy Score blend. Lucy Score's authorial voice is unmistakable. Equal parts sass and sincerity. Her prose is clean, accessible, and infused with emotional intelligence. She can pivot from hilarity to heartbreak in single paragraph and make both feel authentic. Her ability to write sex scenes that are as emotionally resonant as they are steamy is another distinguishing trait. Every intimate moment advances the character's arc or reveals something new about their fears and hopes. In Story of My Life, Score's voice is slightly softer, perhaps more introspective than in some of her more banner-heavy works, but no less compelling. The humor is still razor-sharp, but it's tempered with deeper emotional shading, resulting in a novel that's as thoughtful as it is entertaining. Final thoughts. Story of My Life is a masterclass in contemporary romance. Warm, witty, and emotionally resonant, with nuanced character work, richly drawn setting, and romance arc that honors the complexity of healing. Lucy Score has delivered a novel that doesn't just entertain but lingers. Whether you're a longtime fan of Score's work or newcomer to her stories, Story of My Life offers everything readers crave in romance: flawed but lovable protagonists, chemistry, emotional catharsis, and hopeful, heartfelt conclusion. Highly recommended for fans of small-town romance with substance, second-chance themes without ex-drama, Grumpa Sunshine pairing strong female friendships, romance novels with emotional depth and real-world challenges.